Welcome to my video about reading fluency. So I've gotten several questions off my spelling video as to whether the pictograph technique that I use in that video works for reading fluency and how you go about taking it from that step to being a fluent reader. So that's what this video is going to focus on. Okay, so if you haven't checked out my spelling video, you might want to take a look at that. It goes into the whole word approach, which I'm not going to go into in this video. But I will say that dyslexic kids have a hard time decoding words. And that's because they have a lot of information that they have to process in order to recognize that word. For example, they need to recognize what the letter is, the sound that's associated with it, pronounce it, go on to the next letter, do that for every letter of the word. And that takes a lot of processing time, and therefore they're not a very fluent reader. So in order for them to become fluent, each word needs to be automatic. And the way that it has worked for us is to teach them the whole word. And that way each word is automatic. They know it right from seeing it, and they can become fluent readers. So this is what we've done, taken from first grade when my son was really struggling in the beginning of first grade, falling way behind grade level, to now going into fourth grade where he is above grade level and he is a very good fluent reader and he loves reading books. So that's a huge win for us. So hopefully this helps, and if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, so right from the start, our first step for reading fluency is sight words. Just like in the spelling video that I did, the technique I used for that is the same thing that you would use for all the 220 Dolce sight words, high frequency words, and have them drawn in a picture. You can do them yourself, or there are ones out there that you can buy. This was few years ago and I had no idea how to do them at that point, so I purchased some, and they had a picture on one side and a word on the other side, and they kind of looked like this. Here was the picture of the word right, and then on the back, as he got to know him, we would just do the word. And they have a little story down here that you can, on the back actually, that you can see to give them a clue until they know. If you go on my website, it's www.dyslexiaroad.com. Under useful tools, there is a link to where I bought mine. You may want to check it out. You may want to make your own. It's up to you. But that's what I did. So we would learn like 10 words at a time, and it took a few days to, in the beginning it probably took a week to know all 10 words. And after they were automatic, after they could do it with just seeing the word without a picture, we would move on and add 10 more. And I believe after 2 months, maybe it was 6 weeks to 2 months, we knew all 220 words, and he could fly through them like that. And so at that point, we went on to step 2. So once we got the step 1 down, learning all those sight words, we went on to leveled readers. I started with leveled readers that were just sight words, and there are packets out there that have just all the sight words in them. And then I moved on to, level A, level B, level C, all the way down the road to the leveled readers. And we would start obviously with the easy one and become fluent with that. We would move up to the next level. And that would be step 2 in conjunction with what we're going to talk about next, which is step 3. Like I said, step 3 goes along kind of with step 2 in that when we would get to the leveled readers that had new words introduced other than just the sight words, this board is in his bedroom, excuse me, and we would make a list of each new word that we came across in these leveled readers. And we would make a pictograph for them. I would keep them up on the board. We would review them every day. We would review them before we read the books. And when he got those words, then we would move on to other books, introduce more words. I think at one time we probably had 30, 40 words on this board going of just different words. And that helps increase the vocabulary. It helps introduce new words and make them become automatic, so that when they see those words, they will be able to read them in other books and other places. With that said, I did not focus on names, proper names, if they were specific to the book, places, and stuff like that, character names, because that changes from book to book, and those were, I was sticking more with the common words that you would see that were not in the sight words, but not proper names and nouns and places. Stay away from those because those are always changing. So that's step 3. Step 4 that we use, and this was probably more when they got into the smaller chapter books, we would take turns reading. We'd read together. I'd read one side of the page, he'd read the other, or, you know, some variation of that. And it's always good practice anyways. But what it does is first it gives them a break so they don't get too tired, because reading for them is very tiring. Secondly, it models for them. It's going to model the tone that they need to use, the fluency, how that sound flows, the expressions that they should use, and any pauses with commas or periods or anything like that. So that's a really good way for, you know, them to have a break, to still enjoy it, to, you know, help with their comprehension. Sometimes as they're reading and it's difficult and it's laborious and it's tiring, they kind of miss some of the comprehension that goes along with it. So this helps them to kind of catch up and stay interested, and also model what they're supposed to be sounding like. And finally, the last step number 5, is audiobooks. Now we've gotten into audiobooks just this year, so end of 3rd grade. And what we found was, although he was a good fluent reader, his confidence and his interest was a little starting to decline, because all his friends were reading all these big thick books and he looks at it and goes, okay, I can do this, but it's going to take me forever. So what we suggested was, let's get it on audiobook, and you can listen to it. You know, your friends don't have to know that you're listening to it, and you can be able to talk to him. So that increased his confidence too. What we weren't expecting was all the other benefits that came with that. He loves it. One, it kind of gives him a little downtime to recuperate after school or on the bus if it's too loud, whatever. Also, it lets him read what his friends are reading. And, you know, again, it's sort of the reading together modeling of what the expressions, what the tones, what the pauses should sound like. So when we first started this, we let him listen to the Percy Jackson series, the first book of that. And he loved it so much, 11 hours straight, I think he listened to it. Then we decided he was going to read the next one and listen to it. So he would read a chapter, listen to the chapter, read a chapter, listen to the chapter throughout the whole book. This way, if he missed any of the information, it would back it up for him. He would be able to see how he was reading it and, you know, thinking about it, interpreting it, and how they were doing it. And that he loved. The audiobooks have sort of taken the place from doing all your sight words and pictographs for every single word that you could do, because by this time, you know, we're into thick chapter books and you cannot possibly do every single word. But having audiobooks and help them explain the concepts and explain the words, and he hears his vocabulary has shot off the charts. His comprehension, although it was good before, is great now. I wouldn't say, you know, going back, he was very visual. His audio skills have increased immensely. His teachers say it, we see it, you know, and I have to believe that that is from listening to audiobooks and getting used to listening to things that, you know, are long, because before, after a few multi-step directions, you know, he was tuning out. And after, you know, he's listening to 11 hours of audiobooks and loving it. And I think that has to do with keeping his mind engaged and being able to increase that skill of listening. So that is the last skill that we have, or the last step that we have done, audiobooks. And that just started, like I said, in 3rd grade, middle of 3rd grade. And that is not to say that we don't do reading. We still do reading. We alternate now. One book reading, one book audiobook, to keep both skills going. If you have any questions, let me know. But that is how we got from beginning of 1st grade to now 4th grade and being a good fluent reader. Thanks.